Okay, we will call this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here today. I do want to take just a moment to make sure I'm on. Yes, I'm on. Very good. I do want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Please join me in eating too much and having a great time, giving thanks for all the blessings we have gotten over the time. But I do look forward to that, and hopefully everyone will enjoy their brief break, and we're looking forward to a great meeting today. At this point, Ms. Bowie, would you please call the roll?
Good afternoon. Pete Wildebohr.
Present.
Melissa Mason.
Here.
Josie Barnhart.
Here.
Pat Bradford.
I am here.
Stephanie Craybill. Hugh McManus. And Stephanie Walker.
Here.
All right, great. Thank you, board members, for being here. Next item on our list is the invocation.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the New Hanover County Board of Education. And Father, I want to thank you specifically for Pete Wildebohr, for Melissa Mason, for Josie Barnhart, for Pat Bradford, for Stephanie Craybill, for Hugh McManus, and for Stephanie Walker. And Father, I would ask that you would give them great wisdom on how to lead the New Hanover County school system and all the different ages, on how to lead and care for the parents of the students that are in the New Hanover County system. I pray that you would give them wisdom on how to guide the administrators, the principals, and assistant principals on how to lead and care for the teachers. And I pray, Father, that you would give them not only wisdom, but great tact and tenacity and determination as they do their job. The ability to make tough and difficult decisions and then stand by those decisions. Father, I pray that you would bless each of them. I pray for unity and strength within the board. And Father, I thank you for our education system. I thank you for the freedoms that we love and enjoy in the United States. And I pray your great grace and your great blessing on this gathering. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. This is Pastor Michael Mattis from Saltbox Church, just giving an opening prayer for the school board. Thank you.
And Ms. Walker's last, a little tear here, but her last agenda meeting, so we've asked her to lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Walker. We would now entertain, or I would now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. That passes 5-0. We will go as we have before. I've asked Ms. Mason to keep up with our time so that we can make sure we do have that 4-hour limit. And I know Dr. Barnes said he was going to be very long next week, so anyway, I guess nothing. I got nothing there. All right, I'm trying to get something here. All right, we'll start from the beginning. Opening, call to order, roll call, approval of the agenda. And of course, next week, I do want to mention it is a different atmosphere since we'll be having basically two meetings in one, but we may have to, make a motion at some point to extend. But anyway, approval of the agenda, 5 minutes, invocation, presentation of colors, national anthem. I would like to suggest that Mr. McManus and or Ms. Craybill do the pledge next week. So if everybody's okay with that.
Yes.
We'll put down Hugh and Stephanie. You know what? I think it'd be actually even better if we had Mr. McManus, Ms. Craybill, and Ms. Walker to all lead, please. Would you mind? Would you mind? Thank you. All right. So we'll have 3 outgoing members. Approval of the minutes will be 5 minutes. Recognitions, 10 minutes. I'm looking over to my right.
We won't have any administrative introductions.
Okay. But recognitions.
Do we want to take a photo?
Where? Oh, there she is. I'm looking around. Hey. 10 minutes would be good for that? Or 10 minutes? We'll leave it at 10. Excellent. And we're crossing through administrative, so we won't have any of those. But we do have, then we will have the excellence in public service, and that probably is going to be another at least 10 minutes. That's where we, yeah. So let's add 10 minutes for that right there. That's where we have our wonderful folks be recognized. And then comments by outgoing members, I mean, that's going to probably be, let's give that 15 minutes, because that way everybody has 5 minutes if they want to speak. Okay. You never know, you never know. Student voice, 10 minutes, teacher voice, 10 minutes, interim superintendent's report, 5 minutes. I'll get mine done in 5 minutes, but exactly 5 minutes. Then there'll be a recess. Probably, I'm looking back over my shoulder, Ms. Bowie. How long do we need to recess there? 10 minutes? 10 minutes, good? Okay, 10 minutes. Oath of office, we have 3 new board members in, and they all need some, so probably, I'm looking over my shoulder again, probably 20 minutes? 25? 30? 20, okay. 20 minutes.
Do they have Mr. Chairman, do they know about, like, if they wanted to bring in the judges to swear them in? They know, okay.
Yeah, and I think Ms. Bowie had that all,
Wonderful.
as usual. Ms. Bowie, that's a great job. Thank you, Ms. Bowie. I just want to say that again. Then we'll have the call to order for the second group, roll call. Then we'll have election of the board chairperson. Let's give that, roll call and all, let's give that at least, let's say 15 minutes. That way there we're good. Well, let's put the two together and let's say 25 minutes. If it's less, we're happy. If it's not, then we'll have that much time in there. Call the audience is 60 minutes. Oh, you're right there. You're on top of it. All right, just want to make sure. I want to get information. We have 4 different items. New Hanover County Endowment update. How long will that take?
I'll go do it in 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, did I notice I think the endowment's having a meeting that same night?
It is. The public input.
Bus safety update.
Another 5.
Another 5 minutes. Financial report. 15 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes for budget plan. Perfect. Consensus items. A, contract with Qualtrics. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Nope. You're
Okay.
not there yet. You're good.
Okay. Contracts extending into fiscal year 2026. And again, if you have a question about any of these, please bring them up now. We can answer those too. Contract with NC Sound for Murray Intercom System. MOU with New Hanover County and Cape Fear Community College Occupational Therapy. Ma'am, you're going to have to,
Yep. I'll be part of that.
okay, MM's going to come out of that. And Ms. Bradford, did you have a question about some of that? 'Cause
I
think-
did. I got a message from someone at Cape Fear that was saying they hadn't gotten their information in time, and were we voting on it today? And I said, not technically, no, it's not till next week. But something about they didn't get what they needed before this morning at 8 o'clock, and so I just forwarded that on to Dr. Barnes.
Yeah, I'll follow up after this meeting.
Okay. Okay.
We should have it ready for next week.
Perfect, okay. The MOU with New Hanover County Schools and Blue Ribbon Commission on Prevention of Youth Violence, Voyage.
May I direct?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I went and visited the site and interviewed with people, and I'm very pleased with what they have and where they're going to go with that. They're waiting on funding so that they can spruce up the place a bit. My only concern would be that the yard is not fenced. There's a little like bumper guard around the swing sets and stuff, but they plan to take up to 20 children off-site from our campus, 5 campuses, to that site, which they're not currently doing. Right now, they're in our schools as volunteers, and this will be a different gig, but the same kind of thing. But I was real pleased with meeting them, real happy with what I learned, and then I saw Dr. Barnes' report this morning, so I'm removing my concerns.
And I would like to follow up too. I had one of our strong, well, we have a lot of strong principals, but one of our longest principals and very strong principal called me the other day and said nothing but wonderful things about how, you know, the person that is from Voyage that goes in and is able to interact prior to problems. I do want to jump back, and I saw your hand up, Ms. Walker, so I'm going to go to you in just 1 second. Consensus items, we had 5 minutes. I'm going to say we need to go to 15 because with the fact, and I'm looking at one of our new board members, they may have questions that we don't have. So let's
Oh,
go
good
to,
point.
let's go to 15 minutes on that, because I don't want to, you know, if there's a question from a new board member, I want to give them the opportunity to ask those questions. So
Mr.
let's
Chair?
let's go to 15 for the consensus, please.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yes, ma'am?
Is it possible for them to have access to this information before they're sworn in so that they can be up to speed?
It's uploaded on Friday, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's public information at that point, so yeah.
Yeah, so everything that's in Assembly, you guys can access it, and so it helps.
Yeah, it'll help, but they may have a question after. That's why I want to
Yeah.
give it some more, a little bit more time, so that.
There's a
that way
lot of
that-
them.
Yeah, that's why I just think ahead. Okay, I'm back to Ms. Walker.
Yeah, I have no question, I'm just making a comment. You know, I've worked with Jenna Worth before, I think she's well-respected. I think the program is well-respected, and they do have endowment money too, so they do have backing from other folks. So I just wanted to say that out loud, because I know there were questions about 990s and all that, and I just wanted to just say that, because I mean, I've got nothing but good things to say about it, and especially Jenna, who's the director.
Awesome.
That's it. Done.
Thank you, ma'am. Heading down the road here, contract with Applied Network Consulting Group, Arts Education Proficiency, High
Mr.
School
Chair?
Diploma Endorsement. Yes, ma'am?
I'd like to ask some questions, and
Please.
just so we can have the dialogue. I was excited to see this come across, but and I gave Dr. Joel a heads up just for clarity for the public, just to talk about where this came about from, and some follow-up questions for you. So if you could give us some context of this.
Sure. So this is an additional endorsement that adds on to the ones we already have that are related to career and college readiness, CTE courses, world languages. So this now adds an additional endorsement that students who are focused in arts can have. And you'll notice that what we are asking you to approve in the consent are the list of extracurricular activities. So one of the requirements of the endorsement is 40 hours outside of the instructional day. And we tried to create the list as broadly as possible so that students in all different types of arts can get credit for the work that they're doing outside of class.
And-
Anything else?
Yes,
ma'am?
so that was my follow-up. Thank you for that explanation. So some of the dialogue that we had prior to starting this meeting was, are we able to allow the offerings that we have for students after hours to be included in this? I know that I had given the example of all-county chorus or band, and so they do have the performances during the day when they're doing the classes. I understand they wouldn't receive credit for that, but any of the things that are, whenever?
Yeah, so if we want to add that clarity, I'm happy to do that. It would be under like school-based extracurricular activities.
that
We
would
could
be-
add a
yeah.
line there of, I'd have to think of exactly how the wording would be, but for example, if you're in all-county chorus, the time you spend practicing during the school day wouldn't count, but the hour performance at night could count towards your 40 hours.
Yeah. And then the other two that I think of off the top of their head that's applicable to our area would be the Azalea Festival. Like, we have students that participate in the parade and the arts contest. And I think the state of North Carolina has a calendar NC agriculture contest that some of our schools compete in as well. So I saw that some of the PTO best foot forward and different things, like those are in there, so I don't know if we wanted to name those.
Yeah, so on that third to last bullet, we have competitions. We tried to keep it very vague. We have a lot of community organizations that have local competitions for our students. If you want to get into the practice of naming specific ones, we can certainly do so, but we were trying to keep it open so that as many contests that are out there could be included. But at the will of the board, happy to add whatever y'all want.
Ms.
So
Walker?
just two things. I like that you're keeping it open, because then that gives you a chance to add to it later. But I also like the fact that you're getting an endorsement on your diploma, right? Because I know my daughter had quite a few, so like arts goes just alongside that. And will that help them in their college careers? I mean, the endorsement itself?
Yeah, actually, arts is really exciting. Arts is one of the few endorsements that our students can earn prior to their senior year. So a lot of the endorsements you're not eligible for until you're a senior, so you couldn't put it into your college applications. If you get your 40 extracurricular hours in and your arts courses in, this is an endorsement you could already have on your resume prior to applying to school.
That's awesome.
Ms. Bradford?
Is this brand new, or we've done this before?
Endorsements themselves are not new, but this arts endorsement is new.
Okay.
So the state board passed it, and we've tried to turn it around really quickly so we can get it for the students who it is applicable for.
Ms. Walker?
So I just want to add for context, because I don't think any folks here have had high school students here, but like when they get their diploma, it's really cool because they get an extra endorsement on it, the one that they print and they get to frame. So it's very cool to see it, all those endorsements on your kid's report, or diploma.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ms. Bradford? I mean, Ms. Barnhart, excuse me.
My only follow-up, I love this idea. I think it's great. I think about all of our arts teachers, and if we had a database that we could share all the things that we are knowledgeable about with them so that they can in turn share it with their students, I think is important. So I have no problem. I think it's a great idea. I'm glad that the state approved it, and I agree with you, having the open-endedness is good because we have so many, but if we have a database for our teachers, I think that would assist them in supporting this.
Yeah, we are happy to work on putting something together for teachers.
Great. Any other comments on that one? No? Hearing none, we'll carry on. Curriculum course guide updates, 2025, 26. Any questions? Hearing none. MOU with UNC Chapel Hill and the 2025, 26 school calendars. Any questions about those?
School calendars, I would just ask, did we check with the two schools in question? And they're good with it. We're not going to get an email tomorrow saying, "Rah," are we?
It's just IB.
I do not believe that you will get any follow-up emails. The schools were involved in helping check.
Thank you.
Great. Ms. Walker?
Just a general calendar discussion. I don't know if it's something that the future legislative committee can work on, but there's a new speaker and who may be open to adding a little time. I don't know. I mean, it's just something to put in your, in the back of your head in case you want to start the conversation.
It's worth trying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, the change order to CMAR agreement for the New Hanover County Phase 2A East, West, wall removal replacement. Any questions?
So is Eddie going to talk about it today or next week? Or both?
Any questions?
I read it last night and it,
Pretty straightforward.
I've never seen a construction change order, just residential, so, looks good to me, but how do I know?
Ms. Walker? I figured I'd get it from, I keep looking over here like,
Well, and only thing I'm going to say is I printed it all out so I can take it with me. So if there are any questions,
That's right.
I've got it all right here. It's pretty explanatory, self-explanatory, but it's not, it doesn't hurt anything to bring it.
That's for sure, that's for sure. Sir?
Just want to say thank you to Ashley and to Eddie for getting that turned around so quickly so we can get started. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Carrying on, so anything else in there? No? If not, old business, New Hanover High School update, that'd be about 10 minutes. So again, the consensus item, just to refresh, make sure we get 15 minutes for that. So we do have, I see another future board member joining us. So we've given you some extra time in case you have any questions about the information. At that point, you can ask questions. So usually it's only 5 minutes, but we're going to give you an extra 10 minutes to do that. Superintendent's search update will be also under old business. What do you think? How long do you think that'll take, gentlemen? You too. Yeah.
Well, I think we probably should talk about that, Chair, because we've really been keeping it on the back burner depending on what happens. We've got the money.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, it would be good to have it out because, again, we'll have new board members and we can kind of discuss it. So why don't we allow, say, 15 minutes on that?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am? Ms. Barnhart and then Ms. Bradford?
Well, I would just like to ask for some clarity. Are we looking for kind of guidelines of what the new board members and those that are going to be currently serving, continue to serve, or is it just the process of what it looks like to do a search? I'm just asking for clarity for what that 15 minutes it should be looking like.
I would say that my thoughts are that we need to get the new board members up to speed on where we are, what we're doing.
There's just an opportunity to ask questions then?
Right, and ask
Okay.
questions, and then we have to decide as a board our next steps.
Mr. Chair.
I don't know what that is. Ms. Walker?
Must be some interference. This is just a suggestion. Obviously, you guys are going to do what you want to do on this, but it's a big discussion, to Ms. Barnhart's point, and maybe it would be better for the next meeting, only because then you can talk to them. I mean, how many, you wanted to spend 15 minutes on it, I don't think that would cover it, but,
Well, I think maybe that will be a beginning of discussion, because
Beginning
I think
of-
we're getting,
okay.
probably getting close on time, especially
Yeah.
with everything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying,
maybe
'cause
we
it's
can
got
just
a
get
heavy-
an overview of where we're at this point from our council, and then we can go ahead and make next steps the further,
good
in
idea.
the following meeting.
you got like a packed agenda.
Why don't we say, yeah, well, how long do you think? Maybe 10 minutes just to do an overview?
I think 10 minutes.
Okay, let's go to 10. Ms. Bradford?
I just wanted to throw this out there, that December is going to be a lot of information and no opportunity to have worked with the board. And at the same time, we have an ambitious budget date of April 15th. So I do not want to see this board run concurrent with all these interviews through the budget process. I want to focus on the budget process. And if we can get done by April 15th, that would be just like amazing, but that's, what the staff has said they want to do, instead of dragging it out until, June. So I would just urge caution in jumping in then. It seems like it'd be better for January, because then we will have, Ashley's going to bring us a calendar of meetings that we have to schedule for budget, and we're going to be rigid about sticking to it. And so I was just exhausted by the interim superintendent search and all of those interviews, and I don't want to do those things concurrently at the speed we did it last time.
Ms. Barnhart?
I think that it's important to get the feedback, and I don't think that January would be a bad time for that. Maybe it's something that we can collectively get the questions and concerns from our new coming board members so that we can have a more well-thought discussion for when we have it on the agenda. I mean, I think them speaking to the process would be okay, but we have a lot of options as far as whether we're going to do local, state, national. So, I mean, we have not set the criteria for what an RFP or an RFQ would look like, and so that would be something, I would think, a work session where we can have that sole focus to say, this is what we want to get out of where we're going with it.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll just do, like I say, the overview of where we're at, what we're doing, 10 minutes, and we'll go on from there. We don't seem to have any new business unless somebody adds that for next week. Correspondence, 5 minutes. Announcements, 5 minutes. Closed session, 30 minutes, and we will have a closed session. Again, getting the new board members up to speed on several important pieces of information. I look over to my right to find out how much time we're at.
We are just under 4 hours.
Okay.
We're at according to my calculation, 3.91.
Wow.
6666667.
It's real
All
fast.
right.
Like
Well,
5 minutes. to
That
start.
still gives us,
Do you have a break in there?
Oh, I didn't add the break.
For 4 hours, you probably need to.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Hang on. We do have that recess too.
To have that recess, yeah.
So that might have been one. Well, that would put us right at 4 hours then.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's 4 hours or less, so that's very good. That sounds good. Let's carry on. I guess the next thing on today's list is closed session.
Oh,
So with that in mind, I will call for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143, 318.11 for the following purposes: to prevent disclosure of information as privileged or confidential pursuant to General Statute 115C 402 and not considered public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the Public Statutes, to prevent disclosure of student records rendered confidential under the Family Education Rights Act, to consult with the attorney in order to preserve attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the board, and to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual employed or considered for employment within the school system, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance on or by or against any individual employee. We hear such as a motion.
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. We are in closed session. couple more items to get through today. Looking forward to that. Next item on is the personnel report, consensus item. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
Okay, we have first and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Passes 5-0. Next, we have information AP of the Year presentation. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for waiting so patiently.
I'm Jennifer Carey. I work with the Human Resources Division, and I'm here today to share some very exciting information with you. As we've been preparing to launch our Educator of the Year program for this year, we took some time to reflect and consider areas that we may be missing, some important people that we feel like we need to recognize. And so this year we will be adding assistant principal recognition to this program.
Well, that was a great
Thank you.
presentation.
So certainly under the Assistant Principal of the Year framework, there is a link for some specific and detailed information that you all have access to if you'd like to look over that at all. But certainly through this presentation, I will give you a summary of the nomination and selection process, the timeline, some documentation that will be required for this program. We will have an evaluation rubric available, and then obviously some awards and recognition. Next slide, please. We've realized that working with our assistant principals, many of the things that we already have in place for them seem to really focus on our next in line, or those people that we're looking at to become the next building level principal. This, we feel like, is an opportunity to really focus on those that are excelling at their current role. So the best and brightest, the leaders amongst that cohort of assistant principals, those people who are really just in a strong partnership with their principal, leading instruction, leading students and parent relationships within the schools, and really making a difference for us. Next slide, please. The nomination process will go out next week along with the Principal of the Year and Teacher of the Year nominations. It will be open for several weeks, and assistant principals can be nominated by a variety of administrators in the district. Again, being that they are sort of a unique group, they don't necessarily have the same time frame to be exposed to their peers or work with their peers like principals do. I'm not sure if you're aware, even at an assistant principal meeting that happens every month, they're split down the middle. So some assistant principals may never see a assistant principal from some of the high schools or middle schools, just because of the dynamic of how large their group is and how those meetings are set up. So they can be nominated by another assistant principal, their current or past supervisor. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Could a teacher nominate an assistant principal?
They cannot. We are limiting it to current administration. So their current principal or previous principal, or the executive director of schools that they work with. Yes, ma'am.
Kidding. My question is, I know we have a couple that are split on different sites. Are
Mm-hmm.
those individuals still eligible for this opportunity?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the biggest piece in eligibility for them is that they have 4 years of experience as an administrator. And we're really valuing the impact that being a part of New Hanover County Schools has had on them. So we're looking at 3 of those 4 years to be within New Hanover County Schools. We often hire people from other districts, obviously, to come in and work with us. So we recognize that they may have a little bit of experience coming from another district, but we're really looking for the majority of their time to be with us in New Hanover County Schools. Once the nominations are made, the Educator of the Year coordinator will verify that they meet those eligibility requirements and notify the nominee. They certainly can choose to participate or not participate, but if they do, there are certain things that we will require of them as they participate through the process. Next slide, please. Again, this sort of outlines that 4-year experience timeline that we're looking for, their experience with us as a school administrator. A few of the additional things that we will be looking for, they need to be willing to complete a portfolio that will be submitted as part of their scoring and qualification process. They will need to participate in an interview that will also be scored. Their willingness to serve on 2 New Hanover County Schools committees as appointed as part of their leadership committee, their leadership qualifications, and willing to present professional development at our annual leadership conference in the summer. Thank you. So 2 finalists will be selected based on the scores from their portfolio and interview process. Those 2 finalists will join us at the Educator of the Year banquet and be celebrated there. Out of the 2 finalists, there will be 1 overall Assistant Principal of the Year. That person will be nominated by the superintendent to participate in NC Papa's Assistant Principal of the Year contest as well. Both of the finalists will receive monetary awards, and the overall Assistant Principal of the Year will be eligible for reimbursement to attend an educational conference of their choice. All of the nominees who complete the portfolio and interview process will also be awarded 1 continuing education credit that they are required to have to renew their license every 5 years. So we're really excited about this process. We're excited to add this recognition to our program, and I thank you very much for your time.
Board members, any questions or comments?
I think it's great.
Yes, sir.
I also like the fact that the portfolio and the interview process is designed to help prepare them for interviews that they may have later on for principalship.
And as a former assistant principal and principal, I think it's a great idea. I think it also helps us to, find the strongest ones that we can look down the road and make principals down the road. So, or you guys will, not us. But anyway. Okay, yes, we do. Together. So, well, thank you very much for the presentation,
Thank
and
you.
Look forward to seeing who's selected.
Absolutely, thank you.
Oh, can board members select people? No? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Yeah, excellent. We'll carry on. Our next bit of information is New Hanover County Schools Safe and Supportive Environment, Learning Environments information. Ms. Farnham.
I'll move this way. It just makes more sense that I come this way to talk to you about this. I'm really excited to give you a little bit of information on our work with Safe and Civil Schools around the creation of and the continuation of safe and supportive learning environments. Am I doing this? Let's try. Did it work? Oh, it worked. At first it didn't. Okay. So, of course, we know through policy language, our vision for safe and supportive learning environments is, of course, around creating learning environments in every part of our school that are safe, orderly, clean, and inviting. We know that it is a priority for all of our schools to support students in learning and practicing responsible behavior, where they are treated fairly, where they have input on decisions that affect them when feasible, and also for implementing plans for managing student behavior that's proactive, positive, and effective in avoiding repeated misbehaviors and suspensions. So those patterns of behavior are certainly a concern. We also understand that our strategic plan goals, especially Strategy 2.1, creating those supportive school and classroom climates, not only focuses on those learning environments, but operating a continuum of supports that integrate the academic and the behavioral needs of students so that those work in alignment and are cohesive. Also, supportive discipline with policies and practices that are not only instructive, but developmentally appropriate. So our focus on safe and supportive learning environments through the work with Safe and Civil Schools, which is a national evidence-based, a national company that operates on evidence-based products and frameworks. So we started in 2021 with Policy 4302, the school plan for the management of student behavior, where each of our schools worked from a template that was their school-wide behavior plan. That template was added to their school improvement plans as a way that really spoke about the work that they're doing in aligning those integrated academic and behavior supports. That was also created within their building, among their staff, among their parent population. So those school-wide behavior plan templates came from Safe and Civil Schools. So we have been using as much of this work as, number one, we could resource and that we could really gather, and we're coming to more and more of it. In 21-22, if you will recall, we piloted with 11 elementary schools behavior leadership foundations, and we went through 6 sessions of very intense professional development, really attempting to affect our out-of-school suspension rates among elementary and to inform our school plans and for our teachers and staff to build their behavior support tools in their toolbox to be able to support more students, especially with challenging behaviors. In 22-23, that's where you see the strategic plan goals that were incorporated, especially around student safety and wellness, and especially around those supportive school and supportive classroom environments. So in the last school year, our focus was in really using Safe and Civil Schools' STOIC work. Every single one of our schools has operated professional development around STOIC, which is structuring, teaching, observing, interacting with flexibility with our students, and then the C is correcting, but we like to refer to that as giving feedback because sometimes you provide feedback that isn't specifically correction. And that STOIC framework really is able to provide a stronger structure in the building of your classroom management system and those safe and supportive learning environments that are also welcoming and engaging. The more we have engaging classroom environments, the more our students are able to perform successfully in a behavioral sense, but also in an academic sense. So in this school year, in 24-25, with funds that have been carved out for disproportionality, we are engaging in a very specific targeted focus with professional development for 5 schools that meet that criteria. So a pre-K center, 2 elementary schools, 1 middle and 1 high school. Of course, using, like I said, those disproportionality funds that are those federal dollars that are meant to help us build those skills within those targeted schools around supporting our students that have behavioral challenges that are identified as having a disability in emotional disturbance, but then also those students that may, although we're I don't know what kind of technology thing I'm having. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I haven't sizzled yet. I'm just going to keep going while it threatens. So those students who are identified with an emotional disability or disorder, and then also trying to make sure that we keep those students in school and are not engaging in out-of-school suspensions. Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
may I ask a question? Are we allowed to know the 5 schools, the pre-K
Yes.
center, the 2 elementaries in the middle and the high?
Oh, absolutely. So thank you. Johnson Preschool, Blair Elementary, Alderman Elementary, Noble Middle School, and Laney High School. Thank you for asking that. So the professional development focus has really been on leadership, school classroom culture and climate, really setting that stage, setting that foundation, and then empowering our staff with all of the skills that they need. This is not one-time sit and get professional development. This is very in-depth. It really questions the frameworks that we already have in place. It questions the systems that we use. And in those particular schools, it's a real focus on bringing those experienced and highly involved staff together to work on their own school plans for the management of student behavior. So we know the research tells us around positive school culture and climate, increasing school connectedness, and then high academic achievement. We know that positive school culture and climate, first of all, improves the mental health of everybody. That's going to be the mental health and wellness of our staff, the mental health and wellness of our students, and we know that that improves the mental health and wellness of our families. It's also really important to know that the more we do on this work, we're looking at improved school safety efforts. Increased school connectedness, number one, focuses on improving our school attendance and affecting our chronic absenteeism. And I know you will recall, Dr. Barnes has been talking about his priority areas for the budget being around school safety, challenging student behaviors, and then also chronic absenteeism. Well, we also know that the more we affect our chronic absenteeism and improve our school attendance, we are improving academic engagement. That goes hand in hand. And then as we reach that higher academic achievement, we will see a greater effect on our graduation rates and improved post-secondary outcomes, which comes full circle to the work that the Turnaround Task Force is hoping to continue to affect in economic and workforce development by meeting the needs of our families.
So we began this in 2021.
We began some of the work, yes, in 2021 with the policy development and using that template, but we have been able to find and identify more resources to increase that level of engagement. In 2021, our schools had the template, but that was really it. So we said, this is how we want to frame these school plans. In 21-22, we were able to do professional development with 11 of them so that they had a greater understanding around why that template, why that school plan for management of student behavior had those particular components in it, that classroom management component, that parent involvement component, that instructional lesson plan component. And then into this, all the way fast forward into the 5th year where we're doing that targeted professional development. I want to also mention the professional development, when you find a framework that really does work, these aren't available everywhere, right? These are not resources that are available in our next county or really even within our state. So these are highly specialized resources, highly specialized professional development. When we're able to invest the resources in this kind of work, we want to get the maximum effort from it. While we can only use these disproportionality funds for these particular 5 schools, we know that the trainers will allow more seats in the room than just those 5 schools. So we're going to fill up every seat in a room of professional development. We can pay for it for these 5 schools, but when that only takes up 50 seats out of 75, then we've got 25 seats, and we want it to be among our schools who can send somebody now. So we're filling up the spaces.
So this is grant money. How do we get the money? How come we got it and they didn't?
So this is disproportionality funds. This is that 15% set aside of our federal IDEA funds that have to be used to address the identification of emotional disabilities, and then on that warning side, the suspension of students with disabilities.
Ms. Barnhart?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask, I know sometimes the board is allotted the opportunity to sit on some of these, so if this is something that we're able to attend, just
Okay.
and
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move back to this. So the Safe and Civil Schools framework alignment does align very much with the survey findings from our staff climate survey back in the spring, early summer. So number one, district and school, we can find that we're going to foster positive, trusting relationships between our staff, our students, and their families. Within the classroom, we've already talked about, this is really that further development of those welcoming environments where our staff and students together are thriving. And at the student level, this increases a sense of belonging for a student that improves their attendance and their academic engagement. They are much more interested in participating when they feel a level of success and they feel like they belong and they feel that they're welcome and they're ready to come and do the really difficult work, especially around addressing challenging behaviors. So the professional development and coaching plan has this overall kind of framework of focus areas. First and foremost, school safety is paramount to us. We understand that all of these have that commingled effect. So we are addressing discipline policy and procedures, student and staff interactions, that connectedness to school, student engagement and achievement, that staff collective and individual sense of efficacy. So if our staff feel that they can be successful with students, they are much more likely to be successful. How can we increase their feelings of their perception of their ability to be successful, their efficacy? And then, of course, that climate and culture. And I want to do a little commercial break to this.
We just heard one.
Right. I'm doing a little commercial break. We are also working with professional development around reframing behavior, which is more that trauma-informed approach. CPI has, and I think I've spoken to you guys about this before, but CPI's Reframing Behavior, which is a new resource available that has just been published in this year. I think it was maybe released in June. It aligns and provides additional skill development for our teachers, but we are able to do reframing behavior district-wide, even if we're not able to do the safe and civil schools work district-wide. Right now, this can be the focus of 5 schools, with us bringing in others at, on a voluntary basis and filling up the seats. But CPI's reframing behavior is that on-demand professional development kind of library that offers any staff working in schools mini lessons or deeper dives into understanding why some of our challenging behavior exists among our students, and kind of getting kind of in front of that, not only on the prevention piece, but what interventions do we provide when a student is engaging in challenging behavior, but that is rooted in some mental health concern, some behavioral health concern, rooted in anxiety, rooted in trauma. How do we address that? Because that's not just a compliance effort. That is a supportive effort with those students. So our intended outcomes, especially from the teacher perspective, we framed in the no-do measure. What do we really want teachers and all school staff to know? We want them to know inside and out the management strategies around proactive and positive classrooms. We want them to be able to differentiate behavior supports, but also be able to supplement those. What needs to be in place for all students, what needs to be in place for some students, and then what needs to be in place for just a few students. We also want them to know how to use their classroom level data to make instructional decisions, not just around academic interventions, but also around behavior interventions. Now, what do we want our teachers and other staff to be able to do? We want them to be able to implement those proactive and positive classroom management strategies, effectively supervise students, and then also differentiate and intervene with fidelity, making real-time adjustments based on data. So not just implementing a plan because it's the plan that we said we would implement, but understanding enough about the behavioral interventions to know when to tweak the intervention but still implement with fidelity to get the greatest possible outcome. And that outcome would be decreasing the problematic behavior, decreasing the likelihood of problematic behavior. And then we want our staff to be able to measure intervention effectiveness. Let's not use interventions that aren't effective, but let's understand how to measure them so we know if they are effective or not. We want them to measure student engagement and then measure progress toward goals. If we have the established goals, how do we know that we're making progress or not?
Ms. Bradford?
So besides improve mental health and wellness, do we have any data yet on improving school attendance or the higher graduation?
So this is new implementation. So this year we're implementing for the first time with those 5 schools that deep dive in that professional development. So ask me that again in several months and ask me again in 1 year. And then in 2 years, I really expect to tell you some exciting information. Thank you. It's an excellent
Ms.
question.
Barnhart?
And as far as the data, I know we have talked down about different things as you look at over overarching out-of-school suspensions. When you're looking at repeat offenders, and the decrease of repeat offenders is going to be different than unique first-time suspensions as well. And so I think sometimes that gets lost in the messaging. I definitely feel like our friends that love our children would be wanting this information, so I don't know if we can also send this directly to them, but I think that that's something we need to be looking at and monitoring too. I know the RISE program, I can't say enough good things about it, but they kind of broke that down into the different data points to see the decrease, not necessarily that somebody has completely stopped with a bad behavior result, but the decrease of repeat offenses and things like that. So I think that's important for us to look at when we're talking data points as well.
Yes, because it's the difference of intervening and affecting recidivism, meaning that repeat,
Correct.
or preventing, and then you don't have that challenging and problematic behavior from a student at all. Absolutely. Good. All right. So intended outcomes around school administrators. Again, the no-do measure.
Yeah.
We want them to know how to develop those school-wide behavior plans. We want them to know how to provide effective feedback to our staff and how to use the data in continuous improvement. We want our administrators to be able to walk through classrooms, do those walk-through observations, and give meaningful feedback on what they're seeing, being a part of that professional development so they can offer those fidelity checkpoints and maybe offer that mentoring approach as well. We want them to be able to, again, use the data to drive decision-making, and then create that sense of shared ownership and shared accountability. Again, that was a huge component and a huge response in the staff survey, wanting that shared accountability. And then measuring. We want our school administrators to be able to measure our implementation efforts by staff, and then also our school-wide data. That's that question on what does this look like for our attendance, what does this look like for our discipline, and then I would add in there, thank you, Ms. Bradford, what does this already look like for our graduation rate? And then for us, district leaders and support staff, knowing how to coach and problem solve with our school-based staff, knowing how to collect and summarize that data for decision-making, and to drive decision-making at the district level, whether that's in the resources we outline for professional development, or whether that's in procedures to implement policy, or whether that's to drive policy change. What do we want to be able to do? Support that process with guided questions. We also want to be able to engage in those walkthrough observations with meaningful feedback, analyzing the data with confidence. And then what do we measure? We're going to measure the response to coaching. How responsive are our staff, our teachers, our support staff, our administrators to coaching? And what's our response from our students on the interventions that are provided to them at their individual level, at maybe their classroom or whole school level, and then maybe at the district level? And then this is what we expect to see at the end.
Board members, do we have any questions or comments?
Is it possible for us to get a list of those metrics that you're going to be looking at measuring the implementation piece and ending?
Yes, and I also want to mention, we are, Dr. Hamilton and Mr. Worthington, he's rep, and Susan Cole and I have been invited to the headquarters of Safe and Civil Schools in Oregon to participate in, again, an invite-only conversation with them around the latest research debriefs, and then other resources around what's happening around the country and how other school districts are solving their problems around aligning academic and behavior supports. And so we will be getting a lot more of that information from that district level implementation mapping. Okay. And then I'll be able to give some more feedback on that. So I'm really excited to go and again, one of the major components is going to be around improved school safety, but also improving attendance and student engagement.
Awesome. Dr. Barnes, did you have?
Yeah, when we look at, obviously, safety in schools is a primary concern for all of the people sitting at this table and the people sitting out there. The way you address school safety, beyond just helping respond to violent acts that happen in schools and dangerous things that happen in schools, it's to equip teachers and students with new behaviors that they can use to decrease the overall level of of just disruption in schools. And so I think that's why I asked Julie to speak to this today, because I think it's a good way to show how comprehensive an approach we're taking about school safety.
And if you need a volunteer to, go with you, just, raise my hand. I'm kidding.
It's Oregon in January.
Is that Terry?
Oh, yeah, well, I didn't know it was
Probably.
January, we mentioned that.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you,
thank
thank
you.
you, Ms. Farnham. And just to let you know, I did get a response, Ms. Farnham, about that other matter, and we're good for Monday. Yep. All right, carrying on, our next bit of business is under old business, the Crosley, McIntosh, Collier, Hanley, and Ides legal services for discussion. We have several pieces of information there. I'm just going to start out by saying I think I've been very pleased with their abilities, their hard work, and their ability to answer questions. We've thrown some curveballs at them through the months, and they've stood up and done a great job with that. So, other board members.
I would just say it's also a good thing that they are here. That was a challenge. I think some of our other attorneys would not be as accessible and responsive, and I think that's a good thing. Are we planning on voting today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So I think that's going great.
Thank you.
And I'm glad I get to vote with you for 6 more months.
Ms. Bradford?
Except for the appearance part, Stephen, just pointing out that this is a whole year contract. So we started at 6 months, and this is adding a year. Just pointing that out. Sometimes we don't notice the dates on our agreements, and we should. Am I wrong, Ashley? Oh, now how did I read that wrong?
Yeah. Let's get us on the regular cycle.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm looking at the term of the
effective
contract is
January
January
1st.
1 through June 30, 2025.
Yep, at the end of this
Oh,
year.
it is 6 months. Whew, okay,
Okay,
sorry about that.
I wanted to point out one thing about
Please.
this contract. One of the things, you had a notice provision in there for us. I think all of our other advice clients, you don't have to provide notice to let an attorney go. So, obviously don't, that situation, when people are unhappy with their attorney, well, it's time to make a change. So, that's that. I did want to point out that obviously if it ever gets to that point, you won't have to worry about notice for those.
Well, can I just say on that point, it's kind of respectful for y'all
Yeah.
to give you notice, 1, and 2, time to find someone else, but
We like
hopefully not.
notice. We like to give notice.
Yeah.
So,
without anything else, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we extend contract for 6 months with this law firm, keeping them in place.
second.
There's a second, first and second. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Bradford?
I do have a question. In looking at that, I noticed that Ms. Sutton sent us accounting for attorneys, and I don't have it in front of me, but I noticed that I think in the month of November, we were paying a law firm that their contract ran out in March, Pointer School. Are they still with us? Are we still using them?
We are not. We do not have a contract with Pointer School and are not using their services.
Thank you.
We are using the services of Sync Law Firm.
Anything else? If not, look, he's ready to go. You can tell, he's like,
Let's do this.
back and forth, I'm ready to go.
He's going to Oregon.
Welcome, welcome. We have our next point of business is the 24-25 school improvement plans.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
You will notice
Welcome.
that my collar is correctly on. I'd like to also give a shout out to every single one of you who stared at me last month while I presented with my collar up in the air and nobody pointed it out. So
I didn't notice.
I've noted that. You'll
How much you are.
see that reflected in your Christmas card. Very briefly, last month, you guys approved the preliminary status for all of our school improvement plans. As required by the state, the schools that are designated as low performing have to submit those plans onto their website and be available for public comment. At this point, we can say that we have not received any public comments about those, and so we are here to entertain a motion, hopefully from you, to accept those as they were written and originally approved by you in October.
I make that motion.
We have a
Second.
motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Ma'am?
My only point of discussion is that everybody that I've talked to about the school improvement plans, they've been very excited to talk about the collaboration piece and the components that are in them. So the only feedback I received is positive, and they're grateful that that collaboration on the back end is taking place, which is
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mr. Chair, I just want to
Walker?
add, a lot of work goes into this, and it's very collaborative, and I just want to say I appreciate the work both of you.
Absolutely. I have
Students,
to, our school improvement teams are incredible.
They're awesome.
They're full of teachers and staff members, principals, school leaders that are very passionate about their buildings, parents that want to contribute and see good things happen from their schools. So when those folks come together and we build stakeholder input, we see success. So I'm very pleased as well. Thank you.
And I would like to add, I remember from the days of old when, I rode my horse to schools. But, we used to spend a lot of time, get it together, put it on the shelf, and nobody ever touched it. And I really do like the new format where it is a live, living document that we can look at, pull out, use for different
Right.
things. There's actually people assigned, that have assignments that they have to fulfill, so I really appreciate this, so. A lot of
Yes, sir.
hard work.
It puts the visibility on the work they're already doing, and then
Yes.
shows progress and allows us to adjust over time.
Mr. Chair, can I just have one thing? Aren't these all accessible online, like through the
Yes, ma'am.
school?
So
they're very-
every single person that would like to can go onto a school's website. Under the About Us link, there is a guest username and password that you can use to observe all the action steps and components of the school improvement plans. You can also go in that to access the 4302 toolkit that has the school-wide behavior plan that is a part of school improvement as well. So all of that's available at every single school's webpage. You can also go to the front office if you're unsure of how to get there and ask them, and they'll provide you with a copy at any point.
Great. With that being said, I would entertain a motion to accept these plans as presented.
No, point of order. There's a motion on the floor.
I'm sorry?
Point of order. There's already a motion and a second on the floor. Did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm ahead of myself. Jiminy Crickets,
Yeah,
behind
we're good.
myself, one of
We
the
just
two.
need to
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed. Carries 5-0. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Just a point of order. I missed it when we did the MOUs, but you guys have brought the MOUs up to date, so I've checked all those dates too, and I was really pleased. Thank you very much. I know that took a while, so thank you that we're current. We're not behind anymore. I appreciate it, all of you.
Good. All right, we have nothing under new business. Are there any committee reports?
I could make one.
Go ahead.
Tomorrow we have Finance Committee meeting. Ashley and Dr. Barnes have worked very hard, and we're very excited. Ashley came up with a name for the committee.
And it
uh,
is, drum roll,
It is 8 on 8.
8 on 8, all right.
And for the rest of you, all four of us sat in a workshop with the group out of Dare County over the first of last week. And they were just describing this group that they've been doing for 9 years. And it was just we were mirroring what they had done. And one of the last things, they said they would help. We could call them and ask them how it had gone, but their relationship with the county and their transparency and their relationship with the community had just improved so much over the budget. We're really excited about that. And one of the last things they said to me was, make sure you get an acronym for the name. So we've been puzzling over that, and Ashley's come up with 8 on 8. I'll explain what that means, but we're very excited. And tomorrow's our first meeting of the expanded group, and Ms. Walker is subbing for Mr. McManus, and Bill Rivenbark is subbing for Dane Scalase. Hannah Moon is going to be absent, and I think that's our only subs, but it's going to be a great meeting, and we'd love for you all to come.
Ms. Bradford, that's 12:30, correct?
12:30, yep,
12:30.
here.
I was lobbying for BLT.
That would be Budget Leadership Team, which he shot down as soon as I said it.
Yeah. All right. Any other reports? Hearing none, the final bit of important information for today is the adjournment. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Okay, all in favor? Any discussion? Hearing none.
Joel,
All in favor,
finally.
please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.